I'm really excited to chat with you about your unicorn campaigns and kind of what you're up to. Like, you and I have had a great chat, and I'm excited to share it with everybody. But why don't you just give us a sense of what you're up to with the Dirty Italian, and then we can kind of dive into the campaign that you did.
Yeah, so for those that are just listening and don't know what the Dirty Italian is, it's an Italian delicatessen in South Boston. We focus on catering around the city and outside of the city, but we also have a sandwich shop, imported groceries, charcuterie, cooking classes, and pasta classes. So we try and make it very convenient for those that live in a city where they can just come in and grab food and go home. And we also try and teach some of those recipes to people in the city that don't know how to cook. So some of the campaigns that we just finished are all based off of that. So we had a lot of different email campaigns, reels on Instagram, Facebook that focused on the baby showers, bridal showers, and weddings, and even graduations, instead of doing like the typical hot pans that a lot of I feel like are the staple of graduation parties, like baked ziti and meatballs. We're trying to broaden the mindset of those who don't really host a whole lot, especially because now I think a lot of people are hosting at their homes instead of going to a venue or a restaurant. So I created a campaign that just finished, and it definitely worked because we have about 8 grazing tables just in the next few weeks.
I'm really interested for you to tell me exactly what you put in your grazing tables.
What we're trying to do is give that visual of like not just having cheese and meat, because a lot of the times if the girl that's pregnant can't have the meats, she wants everything else. So we try and take one, what the wife or the bride or the baby mama wants, and incorporate all of those flavors into a grazing table. It has definitely been a more attractive look for a lot of these parties, and having those pictures and videos that I include in all of our different campaigns when we send our outreach are also very helpful because it gives people a visual so they're not just guessing what it is or Googling what a grazing table is.
I think, one of the things that I love about what you're up to, it's not just the marketing that you're doing, because that is a key piece of how you do it, which is really, really cool. I
Thank you.
know that Instagram newsletters are big. I want to talk through some of that. I also want to highlight something that is really unique. And I think that you know that it's unique, but I'm curious if you do. You're not just a deli selling sandwiches. Like, you're not just a store that people can come buy a sandwich and also get some other items. You're also doing catering. Okay, well that kind of lines up. Oh, but you're also doing classes, and you're also like encouraging people beyond just come in and get it. You're like, "No, let's show you how to make these things." I think A, that's really really badass, but B, why do that? Like, you could do anything. What kind of inspired you to take those steps to really offer something that's really unique and fun?
I've lived in South Boston. Everyone calls it Southie for I want to say 11 years now. Maybe going on, I think I'm going on 12. But when I first moved here, there was no deli like in Southie at all. I would have to go to the North End all the time to get good bread or even just like my meats and the imported olive oil. Like it just wasn't a neighborhood that had a solid deli. And growing up in Springfield, not only did I work at a family friend's my whole life, but like every corner had a deli. So I always said, like, if I opened up a deli, I'm going to have the sandwich component because I know that people that live here are probably craving a very specific sandwich that they want. And to be able to give that back to them, like, would make me happy. And I actually do have a lot of customers that come in, they're like, finally, I have a place that I can make whatever creation I want and not get judged for it. We have people that are from Southie. Like it's bizarre to me, but it's normal for people who grew up here. But they're a lot of the clientele will come in and they order a meatball sub and they always add pickles to it. So it's like, again, no judgment. You can judge all you want on the side, but I am just like, yeah, whatever you want. I don't care. Like, I'm
Yeah.
happy to make you happy.
So you have all these different kind of like ways for people to engage with the brand, with your company. I think that's so fun. When it comes to kind of how you get people in, I know that one of the things that you and I talked about was, man, your newsletter is a gold mine. A lot of
Yeah.
people, I hear this a lot as like, I get asked this question constantly. People are like, isn't email dead? People don't read their emails anymore. Now, I know that's not true, and I say that to them, but I'm curious what your experience has been like, you saying that sort of thing. How has that worked out? How's that played out for you in the deli?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think email marketing is dead. At one point, I probably would have disagreed being in the software space for so long, but I also think it has a lot to do with knowing your clientele and what it is that you're going to be sending them to begin with. I don't overdo it at all because I know that that means that they're not going to click it or they're going to unsubscribe. So, like, one of the ones that we kind of talked about was around the holidays this past year. And I had like an open house, which just really means like I give a tour of the entire space because a lot of people don't believe me that there's a kitchen the way that the deli is set up. So they just think I go somewhere else and cook everything and come back, which isn't the case. So I always try and hold an open house. And then during that time is a lot of samples and everything else. So the first part of the email campaign that we started back in November, right after Thanksgiving, was inviting people to come into the open house. The first 25 people to come in get a little takeaway bag to go home with, whether it was like a t-shirt or a miniature like cheese board with a piece of cheese that they got to sample, just anything to entice them to come in and click. But I sent the first email with a register button that would allow them to actually click it, enter their information, their phone numbers. Like, obviously, we already have their email, but at least this way it was kind of like a forced, like, oh, yeah, I want a free gift after I stop in at the Dirty Italian. So a lot of people would sign up that way. And then what I ended up doing with that information was I actually called the people that signed up as a reminder. Instead of sending an email reminder, I did a phone call. So I did the email, phone, email, follow up. I got a couple of voicemails, which is normal, but I got a lot of people on the phone and they were so excited that I even called to begin with to get them to come in. I was talking about some of the cheeses we just got from Italy and Spain and everything else. So they got really excited. Sent the follow up email after that event happened. So the event happened. If you missed it, you got an email that basically said, this is what we talked about. This is what we're offering for the holidays. And I included a bunch of pictures and videos of the new products that came in. And then again, another prompt was to book your catering for the holidays. Let us cook for you. You just have to reheat it for Christmas, New Year's, and so on. And I think having like that just single click so they wouldn't have to go through an entire long page of items at the bottom was the biggest win I could have done. I think we talked about, I think I ended up getting like an extra 15 revenue just from that email campaign. So luckily, like I've been using it more and more, and I've noticed an increase in our catering sales because of it.
I love all of that. A thing that I think can go miss there is that you keep it simple. What does it look like to have a non ridiculous newsletter? Because I mean, I think a lot of people, to your point, they overdo it. They don't they don't know that they're overdoing it. So
Right.
what are your newsletters typically like? You mentioned the Christmas one. What did that what did that email look like?
So the first one was super simple. It was literally just details about the open house, what was going to
Did it
be
have a
like.
photo in it? Was
It
there like
literally
a
had Christmas ornaments hanging, like it's like one page, little Christmas ornaments. I think I made it on Canva, the
beautiful?
editing app. And then it literally just said open house, the time, date, what was going to be featured. And then at the bottom, it had a little gift bag next to a link that said sign would be the first of 2025 to sign up, and you get a gift if you come to the open house. Now, the other trick there is like, I didn't limit it to 25 people. I just saw how many people actually signed up and let it keep going
Sure.
so I could try and get as much, like, as many people in as I could, but also to see exactly how many people were engaged in it. And
Yeah.
then the follow up, like after the phone call and the follow up email, was a little bit more detailed oriented, where I had pictures of the items specifically that I bought in bulk for the holidays. So we have like 3-year-old provolones that hang from the ceiling. I had a picture of one of those and a picture of me cutting open one of the long logs of provolone so they could actually in visual like have a visual of what it looked like. And then I had the panettones are also imported from Italy, and the pandoros, which is like an Italian staple for the holidays. It's a like a sweet bread. So I had pictures of that, and I did little snippets just of like the top 3 items that I wanted to sell that were specific for the holidays. So a really nice olive oil and vinegar set. I had the provolone and the panettone and the pandoro, and I did like 2 lines per picture just to really tell one what it was and why it's important to the Italian culture and why it would be great in like your home basically for the holidays. And I kept it very simple, didn't have any long paragraphs or anything like that because I know for me my attention span is 0. So unless it actually has a picture, I can't pay attention. So I honestly do base all of my marketing and my campaigns off of the way that I perceive like an email campaign or even just like the attention in general whenever I'm buying a product. I need it to have like I always say Instagram worthy, but like a nice packaging and high quality ingredients. Otherwise I have no interest at all. Like I had one guy come in and try and sell me a cookie, and we make our own cookies, but he was like, "Oh, it's the convenience of it. It's in the package already. You just put it at the register." And I'm like, "I'm not having a cookie that looks like you can pick it up at a gas station." I was like, "No." So it's very particular like eye-catching items that I think really work, especially in an email campaign as well.
Yeah, and I think that there's a again, you're dropping so many nuggets. These are so
So
good.
yeah.
Like I love your so one of the things I talk a lot about with people that they when we talk about brand, most people go website, logo, business cards, and it's like no, your brand is the entire experience, right? And like I love that you've crafted this experience that is like, yeah, no, if it looks like it should be at a convenience store, it's not going to be here. Like, we're going to have high quality ingredients, something that's rare that they don't just find even in the grocery store. Like a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, you can't even get at a grocery store. So I love that element to it, which leads me to you mentioned you were in software before.
Yes.
So you were doing something else. And
Very much.
then you decided to, and I love these stories. You decided to do this. You decided to start a deli in South Boston.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
Thanks.
So what's the impulse there to do something that is, as we were discussing, food service and hospitality is hard work. It is so hard. So why go from software to doing this?
So, a little background is when I lived in Western Mass, I went to school at Springfield College. I continued working at a family friend's deli and catering, which we just call him Uncle Joe. It's called Frigo Foods, and they're very well known in Western Mass. He has an insane catering and gift baskets and grocery line. It's on its 4th generation. I learned everything working there. I was the youngest manager I think he's ever had aside from him when he was young. But it was always a passion. I loved helping customers and like seeing people get excited over food and like parties, and I did a lot of the catering like serving at these like higher end parties. And I remember always thinking like, "Oh my god, this is so much fun because I got to see everyone's reaction to not only the taste of the food but like the extravagant setup that my uncle would basically set up." Like he was one of the first ones I've ever seen actually make a grazing table, but he didn't call it that. He called it an
Cool.
antipasto table. So
Sure.
that like that really like brought me into the world of like, oh my god, this is going to be fun. Like I want to do this one day. And then while working in software, I was bored because it was COVID and there was nothing else to
Hmm.
do. So I ended up like creating a account on Instagram to like basically just post my charcuterie boards that I would make for friends and family because I always used to make them when I worked at Frigos. And a blogger in South Boston saw it. She posted it, and I had 60 orders overnight. And then that's when I had like that, oh shit moment. I need to make an LLC. It was like, so that's how it kind of started on the side while I was still selling software full time. And I think during COVID too, people were starting to get more comfortable doing the outside element parties and get togethers. So they were actually wanting something that they didn't have to like go to the grocery store and make, and they would just pick it up from myself, charcuterie board. And then that's how I started getting grazing table requests for outdoor weddings in the backyard and in like, at golf courses and things like that. So that's kind of like how it started. And then when I was getting to the point where I thought, okay, I could do this like long term and quit software. I didn't fully quit software. I decided to leave the company I was at for 5 years and go somewhere else because I was like, oh, maybe I'm just bored with this company.
Sure.
And I made the switch, and then they ended up letting me go after 3 months because they overhired. It was a small startup, and I was just like, not, I didn't care. It was one of those like moments where I was like, wow, I actually don't care that I got let go. So I'm going to go to Italy for a month. I went to Italy. I had my whole experience like studying how to do certain things. And I met with a lot of different makers out there, olive oil. I toured a bunch of like the Parmesan factory, and I did all of it that I could think of within a month. And when I came back and told my family, yeah, this is it. This is time. I'm not going back into software. There's just no way I can convince another CIO to buy something in software. Like I'm done. Like, I'd rather convince people to buy good cheese. So let's make a switch.
Yeah.
I think just having the like I always wanted a store since I was young, so I kind of like knew eventually that I could get there, and I always told myself when I was like in high school that I wanted to open up a store by the age of 35. If it wasn't going to be 35, I probably won't ever do it, and I did it at 34. So it worked
Hey,
out.
well done.
Thanks.
Okay,
Year early.
so that story is so fabulous. I love it
Thanks.
so much. And I think it speaks to one of the reasons why you take such great care with what you do. Like, this is
Thank you.
the dream. Okay, so I've got to ask, because it's one of the best things that I've heard in a long time. How did you come up with the name, The Dirty Italian?
Well, the short version is that while working at Frigos, a customer would come in all the time. This guy, Todd, a great guy. He would basically get the Frigo Classic, which is an Italian sub, but he would always say, like, I want to swap it out for all the hot meat, the peppered ham and everything else, and then add the hot mix to it, which is a Frigo staple. It's just chopped up cherry peppers and pepperoni and cheese. So it turned into a joke where he'd be like, yeah, make it extra dirty for me, make it dirty. And then when the time came to graduate from college, my uncle basically, as a gift, was like, what do you want as your graduation present? And I said, name a sandwich after me. I deserve it. And I said, call it Talya's Dirty Italian. And it will be right underneath the Frigo Classic so people can have a spicy version versus the regular. And it stuck with me, with all of my friends calling me the Dirty Italian since I was graduating college. And when time came to open up my store, everyone was like, oh, just call it Talya's, just call it Talya's. But everyone has said my name wrong my entire life. So I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing that. I just want to call it the Dirty Italian. I'm like, that's fine. And even now, people come in and they order Talya's Dirty Italian, but they'll say my name wrong. I'm like, nope, an extra dollar. You said it wrong. Like, I don't care. Just to try and get them to say it correctly. But it's definitely brought some hate. I'm not gonna lie, but it also,
Really?
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of it has to do too with a lot of people that come in don't realize I'm the owner either, unless they've seen me on Instagram or on TV. They just
How,
assume I work there.
that's got to be fun, right?
I love it. I love messing with people. I love it. I had an older gentleman say to me I was eating like so fast, but I was covering the register so one of the girls could actually go on break and sit down, and I never sit down, clearly, except right now.
Sure.
And I was at the register eating, and a guy came in and he goes, "Oh, what's wrong? The boss doesn't give you a break." I was like, "No, she's so mean. Like she is so mean to me." And he was like, "Oh my God, you poor thing." And I'm like, "I know." And then he put $5 in the tip jar, and I was like, "Oh my God." So I just
That's
gave it. I
amazing.
gave it to my staff, but I
Sure.
don't think he understood I was being sarcastic, but it's fine.
So when you are, I know that one of the things that's really easy for people to do is that they will post on social media just hoping, fingers crossed, we're going to get some traction, we're going to get some engagement. I took the time to check out, in particular, your Instagram feed, and it's really not just well put together, it's well thought out strategically.
Thank
I'm
you.
curious if you can share just kind of what your approach is to social media organically and how you leverage that to get new customers and re-engage customers that just haven't been in recently.
Yeah. Social media is crazy. I
Yeah.
always wish I could get rid of it. Like for me personally, like I don't post on my own personal accounts ever. It's all about the dirty Italian. And for me, like I can't believe how much I'm on it now compared to like me being like, oh, I'll never be on it. And now I'm on it every day. But I think like in the beginning, I was paying to boost posts. Like when I first opened the store, trying to get like there's like a radius that you can select and boost certain things to the surrounding area. And then I found that it was a lot of spam. Like a lot of like fake accounts were following me and like trying to DM me things, and I just hated it. So I ditched boosting the $5 everyday thing on Facebook and Instagram, and I ended up just using trending audio. So I had to teach myself how to find the trending audio, but I stuck to the trends that were relevant to my business. I wasn't like following an influencer who was posting about a hair product. I was like trying to find other trending restaurants or delis or even chefs that were making Italian dishes. And I was taking those like audio clips and reusing them to my own videos and everything else. And I think that really helped me. And then over time, what I ended up doing was on a Monday, like today, I will sit down for a half hour. Like I usually do it in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee, and I'll just make a bunch of reels and posts for the week, and I schedule them. So then for the whole entire week, the only really thing I'm doing is posting what the menu is every day on the story instead of an actual post on the Instagram, like which is
Yeah.
also super helpful. But with the, I actually blame my brother for this because when I first was posting, it was a lot of the same thing. And he was the one that was like, "Your Instagram is not cool." Like he got mad at me for like posting the same sandwich or this and that. And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll change it up." And he actually was the one that was sending me different Instagram grids from other chefs and well-known like restaurants in Boston and how they have different looks throughout the entire profile. And that's what I started to
Yeah.
slowly start to copy. And I archived a bunch of old pictures. I downloaded an editing tool to like brighten up some of the pictures, especially when it's in a darker setting. So that way it's all matching. And then when, each week comes, like for an example, for this week, we have a bunch of grazing tables that we have to set up. So a grazing table post will get posted soon. I have this weekend coming up, I'm doing a cannoli bar. So you can come in, pick what toppings you
Amazing.
want and change it up. So that has to get posted. So I try and base it off of each weekend coming up. The weddings, everything else will get posted too. But and anytime there's a new item, like an example would be I just partnered with one of the local restaurants that's really well known here, Hunter's Southern Kitchen. They're phenomenal. And the chef is very well known in Boston because he beat Bobby Flay on his show, Beat Bobby Flay. And he
Whoa.
was just on Chopped. So he has an amazing
There you go.
following. He's also amazing in general. I love working with him, but we have been talking about a collaboration for so long, and he's very well known for some of his items, including the mac and cheese. Like I think it's the best mac and cheese in all of Massachusetts, Boston in general. So
Whoa.
I know it's
High
saying a
praise.
lot. So I did tell him, I was like, what if we did a steak bomb, so like a steak and cheese, but with your cheese sauce from the mac and cheese? Let's just do
My
it
gosh.
So he made a giant, like, I brought it to my store because we're only like a half a mile from each other, but I was only offering it at my store to test it out. Sold out every day. We did it for 4 days. Of a blogger influencer saw it. She posted about it. We got so much traction that people were going to hunters asking for it and coming to me, and they were like, "What the hell?" Like it. I had one guy come and he bought 20 of them. Like the most it was the most insane, like 4 days of making steak I went through over 90 pounds of steak, like crazy. So we're
Wow.
definitely going to do it
Wow.
again. But now it's
Yeah.
like we tested it out. It obviously was a hit. And now we're going to do it at both locations, probably at some point in June. We just haven't picked a date because we're both so busy. But I personally love, like, everyone always makes comments, especially in the restaurant industry. Everyone's like, oh, you're competition. Like, no one's a competition unless you make it a competition. So
That's
it's
it.
like, it's your neighbor, be friends. You can, rely on each other if something goes wrong or if something goes well. Like, just be nice to everyone and you'll do really well. And I love partnering with all of the restaurants in South Boston. I'm at them almost every day anyway. So I think, like, collabing with a lot of people who also started the same way I did. Like, we have a lot of women owned businesses that started from home. Like, we have someone, Southie Cookie, she makes homemade cookies and now she has a following and she does all of her drop off, pickup, pop up, whatever you want to call it, at our store. So I partnered with her. We also have another up and coming sisters who are making custom cakes, like those vintage pretty custom cakes that are going viral. And now they're partnering with me to use ovens and everything else because of how much they've grown until they can build up their own place and cook, elsewhere or bake elsewhere. But I love working with everyone and I love helping other people because I know how hard it is to get started. And trying to get started in the city of Boston is not easy. I think it's one of the hardest cities to get up and running, especially if you're moving into a brand new location and there wasn't an existing kitchen. They're very hard about opening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
whatever I can do to help.
Yeah. I love this. I love this conversation so much. If people want to come check you out, they want to check you out, they want to check out the Dirty Italian, what's the best way for them to find you?
Instagram is definitely where I post everything first. Talya's Dirty Italian, or you can just type in the Dirty Italian. You'll see this lovely logo with my pepper that's actually the Italian horn. And then just going to the website, thedirtyitalian.com.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for running unicorn campaigns.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.